understanding it from where you live. So surrounding ecology is the first ecology you should get to explore. So that is why we have come to the Tekri. And to give you a little bit background of these Tekris which Pune is blessed with. So Pune has lots of Tekris. So depending on where you live, you are familiar with that Tekri. So I live in Parvati, so I know Parvati Tarzai and all that Tekris. And there is a Bane Tekri and there is a Varze Tekri and there is a Kuthrud Tekri which is, if you live near Mahatma, that Mahatma Tekri, and there is a that Sus Bane and Pashan Tekri and all. So where we are, this is called Vetal Tekri because there is a Vetal temple here. And this is one of the two very large hills in Pune. So one is Tarzai, which is also very big. It extends for quite a few kilometers all the way from Parvati almost up to Bharati Vidyapith. So almost up to Dhankaudi, that Tekri extends. Tarzai Tekri also it is called. And the other is this. This is even larger. This is so in fact Pashan Tekri, Baudhan Tekri, Matoba, Panchavati, Kuthrud, even Senapati Bapat Road, Law College Tekri, all of that is just one Tekri, and these are just faces of the Tekri on different sides. So it's actually quite some distance all the way from the highway to Ferguson College is the extent of the Tekri. It's cut now on this side with the road, the Symbiosis road, cuts the last spur of the Tekri, it separates it from the main Tekri. And of course the highway has cut it off from the NDA Tekri. So this joins the NDA hill.
So none of the Tekris are connected?
No, they are not. Unfortunately, no longer. So these are all spurs of the Western Ghats, which go east. So the main range of the Western Ghats is north-south, and from that north-south range there are these ranges that sprout eastwards, and they run eastwards into the Deccan Plateau. So all these Tekris in Pune are parts of those eastern ranges, and they have all now lost their connections with the Ghats because in some places because of the highway or roads like this Tekri, and some places because of just urbanization. So the Tarzai Tekri, it gradually used to merge into the Ghats. It kind of keeps going up in altitude. So Katras, if you go to Katras from Swargate, you'll see that you keep climbing up. So the what used to be Ambega now is Ambega used to be Ambega Pathar, which is like a flat plateau at an altitude. So Ambega Pathar is now all Ambega suburb basically, and that has cut off the Tekri from the Katra Simagad ridge. So so Pune is surrounded by, so in fact all these Tekris run into Pune, and the biggest is actually the Katras Simagad spur. So Simagad is all the way connected to the Ghats, and that is one range which is connected. So it comes all the way from Simagad to Katras, runs south of Pune, and goes all the way to Saswad and beyond Saswad. So if you have gone to Bhuleshwar and all of that, it's the same spur. So in Maharashtra, if you look at, say, a physical map of Maharashtra, you will see that there are many hill ranges that run for kilometers, 100 kilometers or even more, 100, 200 kilometers, sometimes from the Ghats. So even the Ajanta hills are like that. They start all the way from the Western Ghats, gradually keep going down in altitude and running into the Deccan Plateau. So these Tekris were a part of that, unfortunately cut off from the surroundings. And if you look at a little bit of history, so it is quite possible. Hey, hi. Good. Yes. So she's last year self-paced. So if you look at the historical, ecological history, then most probably these Tekris had a dry deciduous forest. So because you see, if you go to Katras, which is a little bit better protected, there is dry deciduous forest on Katras. But over the years, of course, there has been degradation, and there was a lot of degradation. The earliest records historical of cutting down trees is from Shaiste Khan's time. So there is actually mentioned that Shaiste Khan, when he came to attack Pune, he camped with an army of 1 lakh or more soldiers, and to cook and for their fire and fuel requirements, they came and cut lot of trees around the tekadis at that time. So that is a, probably I don't know if it's specifically Vetal Tekadi or not. So it's said that where they camped is what today is Deccan and Shivajinagar and all of that. So it is quite possible that they did the cutting here.
Because they are closer from the Lal Mahal.
So that is one, what you can say, a historical mention of cutting down forest. And then of course as the city grew and more disturbances started happening on Pune, on the hills on Pune. So a lot of firewood cutting, grazing, fires. I mean, there are very little natural fires around in this area. So those fires are lit because there is this thing that the grass next year is better. Over the years there was a lot of degradation slowly, and the tekadis were barren. So if you ask somebody, say like Nalawade, somebody senior Nalawade sir or even Mahajan sir and all, they'll tell you that the tekadis were barren. Before the 70s, 80s, they were not. There was mostly scrub, so grassland and scrub, thorny trees. And then there was this massive vanikaran which happened, 70s, 80s onwards, 90s actually. So what was it called? Green Pune movement. Yeah, social forestry. Samajik Vanikaran. And then they planted Gliricidia. So we'll actually go to Gliricidia.
Get intimidated by recognizing or having to recognize plants and trees. Take it easy. It's not a taxonomy class, and there is no exam. So I will tell you common names. Those who are interested, I'll tell botanical names for them, but you don't have to take the botanical names seriously. So some people get.
Learn those for the course?
No, you don't have to.
Your own interest.
It's your own interest. So you remember the common name, that's good enough. The idea is to get to know the local flora, not really to become a taxonomist or a botanist, but to start being able to identify what is growing around, what is the native flora of where you are. So, so this is Gliricidia, and they planted it at that time. So there was mostly Gliricidia and Subabul which was planted, but Subabul was also brought in more as an agricultural plant. But Gliricidia was planted here. This is a South American plant, okay, and planted because fast growing, fixes nitrogen, so improves soil quality, and because the hill slopes were degraded, they did trenching. So you know what trenching is, na? So they along a contour you dig a trench, and then you create a bund, and on the bund you plant trees to hold down the soil. So whatever water runs down keeps getting collected in the trenches and improves the soil moisture, and soil erosion also gets arrested. So they planted these Gliricidias on these trenches because they're really very fast growing trees. So if you actually crush it,
Can you give me a sense around कितने जल्दी grow कर जाते हैं?
yeah, 4-5 years. I mean, they will quickly. I mean, and first of all, very easy to plant. You don't have to get saplings or seedlings or anything. You get a cutting, and you plant that. It will grow, and it grows fast. So within 4-5 years, it will reach a height of say 10 feet, 12 feet. So very quick growing plants, and they have a very pungent, not pungent, but not a very good smell. They have a bitter smell to it. So sometimes you're walking through a Gliricidia plantation, you can sometimes smell that thing. But the thing is, the problem with this, what happened was the hills became green very fast. Very quickly, everything started looking very beautiful, very green. People were like, oh wow, Pune's hills are now green. But the problem is, there was no diversity. It was only Gliricidia. There is nothing. Also, Gliricidias have a character that they don't allow much other trees to germinate under them. So nothing else really grows. So it becomes a dead plantation, and because there is only one kind of plant, it also becomes a very silent plantation. You don't really see insects, birds much, because nothing really comes to these trees, because biodiversity needs floral diversity also. So fauna, there is no diversity of flora, there is no diversity of fauna. And of course, eventually 20, 30 years later, people have realized that, it was a bad decision. Even the forest department has now realized it's a bad decision. And now in some places, it's trying to phase out the plantations. But like Sushmata said, sometimes they are, the contractor who's given the contract to remove Gliricidia doesn't recognize Gliricidia from any other tree. So, en masse removing whatever is there. So, yeah.
And even
So,
people don't understand that they are removing the non-native and they go on object. Why you are removing trees?
yeah, but so there is no, it's not done carefully. It has to be done carefully. It has to be done very meticulously. You can't just go in now and now just remove, large swathes of Gliricidia. You have to do it slowly, removing only a couple of trees at a time and slowly plant. It's going to take, so now we have 50 years of Gliricidia. It's going to take another 50 years of to, restore what what we destroyed as the other native plantations. And yes, Vetal degree is the highest point here. Also, all the rock you see is basalt. So there is nothing else in Maharashtra. This part of Maharashtra, we are on the Deccan Plateau, and you see basalt. So because we are on the Deccan Traps, so if you know geological history, I think Gurudas sir did take little bit. Not yet. Okay. So there will be a bit of this thing on geological time scale. So Deccan Traps was basically formed, I think 60 million or something like that, 65 million years ago. There were series of volcanic eruptions on the Indian plate, and there was quite some time in between the different eruptions. So if you go to the Sahyadris somewhere in the summers, especially if you go, you see the layers. So on a cliff, ते कड्यावर असे पट्टे पट्टे दिसतात बघा आपल्याला. So it's basically one layer of volcano, lava which is cooled, made a rock, that's weathered, then there's soil formation, then there is another eruption, there is a lava layering again. So there were multiple, many millions of years this was erupting, and it formed this big plateau which is just basically this black basalt, काळा पाषाण, जो आपण त्याला म्हणतो, which is the local rock which you see older houses, older buildings in Pune, they're all built in this black basalt here. And on the Tekdi, the soil is a little coarse, it's a little rough, it's not a very deep soil. Down in the valleys, then you find good soil, and this basalt is also what gives rise to your black cotton soil. So all the sediment that gets deposited from the hills. So in Maharashtra we have the black cotton soil in a lot of places. So yes, so now you see a lot of Gliricidia plantation. There are patches now. So what has the Tekdi has become, what probably would have been a dry deciduous forest is now patchy. So there is Gliricidia plantation, then there is some mixed plantation. There are some patches of good native forest remaining, especially on Mahatoba. If you go, Mahatoba Tekdi has some really nice, still pockets, small pockets, but of native vegetation where you can see, what it could have been at some point. So we will also look at some native vegetation. So one is, of course, this is not native, this is Gliricidia, but you will see it commonly across Pune in very many places, many Tekdis. So if you see, this is, so identifying two trees, one is you start with leaf arrangements. We'll have a short taxonomy lecture, but we don't concentrate too much on it. But this is compound. So basic difference, compound and simple leaves, is very good to understand because these are quick clues. Behind you there's a peepal plant, that's a simple leaf. So from the main stem there's one leaf which is growing. Here from the main branch, you see there are multiple. So this is actually the leaf, and then there are multiple leaflets to it. And this is double compound. So what you call is bipinnately compound. So which means, so there's one stalk, and then on that you again have stalks. This is also compound. This is moi. Shimti kiva moi, lania, this is called. So this is Gliricidia sepium. This is also called Mexican lilac. मराठीत त्याला उंदीरमारी असं पण नाव आहे, Gliricidia. गिरीपुष्प म्हणतात, which is, I think, that Gliricidia का adaptation into, गिरीपुष्प also, because Gliricidias were planted on hills everywhere. on hill slopes to stabilize slopes. So that became Giri Pushpa. They look very beautiful when they flower. They flower in the winter and they have these beautiful pink lilac flowers and they are completely barren at that time. So entire slopes become pink. But the hidden damage. This is they are nitrogen fixers. They are actually good. Yes, farmers put as green mulch also. So it's a good plant, to plant on say farm bunds where you want to use it as green fertilizer or things like that, but not good for reforestation.
How do you recognize if a tree is nitrogen fixing or not? Can you
No, so the family, so this is a pea family, a beans family. That's why it is a nitrogen. Most beans family plants are nitrogen fixers. This is a Fabaceae, what we call as Fabaceae. So most Fabaceae members are known to be nitrogen fixers. This is Moi. Lania coromandelica is the botanical name. This is a native. Indian ash, and Moi is ubiquitous across India. So it's a plant which has a very wide distribution. So all the way from the Himalayan foothills right up to the Sahyadris, you will see it. You will not see it in very high rainfall, but from moderate rainfall to dry regions, you will find Moi. And a very good place to see Moi is Ajanta. So Ajanta Hills, if you have been to Ajanta Hills, you have to take a bus to go up to the caves. So on the way there is beautiful forest and it's dominated by Moi. Or if you go to Gauta near Chalisgaon, so Gauta is a sanctuary and there is a place there which is called Pital Khora. And that Pital is brass, Khora is valley. Pital Khor is full of Moi trees, and what happens is when Moi sheds leaves late winter or early summer, when it becomes barren, the leaves completely turn yellow as they fall. So on the ground there is a carpet of yellow, and that's why Pital Khora gets its name, because that valley looks yellow because of all the Moi leaves on the ground at that time. So Moi is a native. Yes, and a very important tree, very good tree to plant on Tekdi especially, because it's one of the dominant species here. So we have Moi Salai, we'll see Salai somewhere. Moi Salai, which are dominant. There is Dhauda. So many of the Pune Tekdis you have Dhauda, Moi Salai, which are the three dominant species. So many ecosystems of forest, if you go, you usually have 2 or 3 species which are dominant, which occur at a very high frequency, and then there are most other species which occur at a lower frequency. So if you look at the species curve, it drops down like that. So if you look at the species versus numbers, so you have 2 or 3 which are dominant, and then there are slopes down quickly, and most other species occur at a lower frequency. Dhawda, पण आपल्याकडे धावडा आता कमी राहिलाय खूप. And you look at the bark, it has very typical like this greyish bark with these like black markings on it. So you go to Vidarbha, na, you see huge Moi trees, some places. So I recently went to Yavatmal, to Tipeshwar, and Tipeshwar has massive Moi trees, big. So the soil depth and rainfall also makes a difference. Pune is a rain shadow, 700 millimeters is what we get here. As opposed to if you go to say the crest line, so Panchet catchment मधनं तू वर गेला आता किंवा ताम्हिणी, if you go, in some places it rains like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 millimeters. And here it is 700. थोडंसं पलीकडे तुम्ही बारामतीला गेलात की it rains 400, 500 millimeters, so even less. So that rainfall gradient is there. So this is Moi, and we'll see more natives along the way. Melanoxylon means black wood. So this tree used to be used to make even piano keys. So the black, which used to be made of ebony, but this is like a alternative to ebony. ह्याला पण एरंड म्हणतात, like castor. This is also called एरंड किंवा एरंडी. हां, पण आलं हे आपल्याकडे आहे स्प्रेड झालेलं. This is also compound, compound leaf. So again, from the stem you get a leaf and it is divided in. याला odd आहेत. Odd म्हणजे there is a last one which is not paired. Sometimes there is no last leaflet, so everything is even numbered leaflets. So this is salai dhoop असं पण ह्याला नाव आहे हा, because this is one plant which is also used to make dhoop, resin. So because it gives a fragrant resin, so salai सुद्धा वापरतात काही ठिकाणी धूप बनवायला. Very beautiful tree. I really love salai. It's a very beautiful tree. Resin, हाँ वो the main actually धूप is Canarium strictum, which is an evergreen plant, but salai is also used for धूप. I hope that we can get some smell. नाही त्याला नाही येणार वास. So salai is also there in deciduous forest in Maharashtra. You will see salai also in Ajanta, in Gautara, in Tipeshwar you will see, and again in Tipeshwar you will see huge salai. असं एवढाले खोडं असलेले salai बघितलेत मी तिथे. असे मोठे आणि growing tall, white flowers. So at the end of each branch ना, here it will get flowers, and there will be like these sprays of white flowers, which are fragrant also. पांढरी फुलं उन्हाळ्यात म्हणजे स्प्रिंग मध्ये येतात, म्हणजे अर्ली समर मध्ये येतात.
गोस्ट म्हणतात का? ते वेगळं ना?
नाही ते वेगळं, ते करई करू.
ये इसका साइंटिफिक नेम क्या है?
बोस्वेलिया सेराटा. Boswellia serrata is the botanical name. Boswellia is the genus. Serrata is because it has a serrate margin. So hey, if you look at the margin of the leaflet, it's not smooth. त्याला असे serrations आहेत. So serrata. Boswellia serrata. सालई धूप, मोई, मोई नाही ती मोई. सालईच म्हणतात ह्याला. इंग्लिश नाव काय मला माहित नाही ऍक्च्युली. I'll have to find out what's the English name of that.
साल म्हणजे तेच का? साल.
No, sal is different. Shoria robusta, that's a very different tree. Kai? Salai also grows in not in very high rainfall, so medium, moderate rainfall areas मध्ये. So Maharashtra सगळीकडे आहे, because most of Maharashtra is low rainfall or moderate rainfall. So महाराष्ट्रामध्ये रेनफॉल असा वाढतो, कोकणात पडतो खूप. क्रेस्ट लाईनला खूप पाऊस पडतो सर्वात जास्त, पण इवन इन कोकण 2500-3000 millimeters. Mumbai's average annual rainfall is 2000 millimeters, which is very high, 2500 millimeters. Then it goes to like almost 4000-5000 millimeters in the ghats. एकदम म्हणजे ज्याला घाट माथा म्हणतो आपण तिथे. And it slowly then starts declining. So Pune is 700 millimeters. You go to Marathwada. Marathwada is very dry. 400-500. Marathwada peksha sudha the eastern part of western Maharashtra. So if you look at eastern part of Pune district, Nagar district, साताऱ्याचा eastern part म्हणजे वाठार वगैरे तो सगळा भाग, even Solapur, all of Solapur, अकलूज हे ते वगैरे, and then parts of Marathwada, म्हणजे Latur, Usmanabad, we hear about droughts and all. So that is very low rainfall, 400-500 millimeters, and then towards Vidarbha it starts increasing again. So Nagpurla 1000 millimeter पाऊस पडतो. So Vidarbha is again higher rainfall. So you see beautiful deciduous forests in Vidarbha. That's why Vidarbha is so green, because the rainfall is again a little higher. So you find dense forests again, but deciduous, not evergreen like in the ghats. So this is salai. This is Jatropha, one of the many Jatropha species that we have. Jatropha, as you know, famous for the biodiesel experimentation that was done. This is not native. There is another Jatropha which we will see. There are multiple species that you find here. No, it's not. It's not. पण ह्याला एरंड किंवा एरंडी म्हणतात ह्याला सुद्धा. Like castor. Like castor is also called eranda. This is also called eranda. Castor is also not native. No. Castor is actually originally from Eastern Africa. So very dry parts of Eastern Africa, Somalia and those places. So castor is also grows as a weed most places. Jatropha nana is native. Yes, and it's endemic. I think to the Tekdi. So there is a species called Jatropha nana. It's actually a short plant. There are only a few places. I think that person what's his name, Nalavade, Nerlekar. Ashish Nerlekar's paper is on that. I think he knows the locations of those plants. There are a couple of plants of Jatropha. Is a different species, Jatropha nana, which is endemic to the Tekdi. It's not found anywhere else other than the tikdi. Palmate leaf because it's like a palm. So it's lobed. So it's the margin is not entire. It has lobes. So not all exotics are invasives, but some are. Gliricidia actually is not very highly invasive. They spread nahi hote evda. So Gliricidia doesn't really spread too much from where it's planted. And like I said, nothing else really grows under the Gliricidia. But there's one plant which defies all of that. So this is lantana. घाणेरी टणटणी घाणेरी लँटाना घाणेरीकरण वास बघा just smell very irritating smell and it also itches because it has a very rough leaf आणि ती गोड लागतात so lantana fruits are sweet very small but there's barely any flesh so lantana brought as an ornamental into India by the British because of the flowers. The flowers are quite pretty and they're multicolored. And now they have been, made into varieties which are monocolored, yellow, white, violet, and all. And horribly invasive, one of the worst invasive plants ever. So lantana is very hardy. These are hallmarks of an invasive. Very, very tough, doesn't die, grows in multiple, weather conditions, grows anywhere, whether it's light, whether there is shade, can grow, and produces lot of flowers, lot of fruits, seeds, and disperses, germinates very well. Yeah, so birds and butterflies get attracted a lot to lantana, and birds are a big reason to spread lantana because they like the fruits. And then what happens is the same lantana grows so quickly, outcompetes all natives, and only becomes a lantana. So undergrowth only becomes lantana. So lantana is really bad, and it's said that So it is said now that 30% of India's tiger habitat, prime tiger habitat, is now invaded with lantana. So a lot of tiger reserves have lantana. In the south, if you go to Mudumalai, Bandipur, has a very bad lantana problem, and they have huge thickets of lantana. So lantana can grow into these massive bushes. So in Mudumalai, the lantana bushes thickets are so big that elephants you can't see, behind a lantana bush. They become so large there, and somebody did a very good study of bioacoustics in forests with lantana and without lantana. So where there is a lot of lantana, they just put recorders and they recorded the variety of sounds. And in places where there is no lantana, there is a lot of native vegetation, and they literally found that even the variety of sounds has dropped in wherever lantana is invaded because variety has gone down of plants. Because variety has gone down, number of birds have gone down, insects have gone down because they have only one, there is no alternative to one species. And it's also forcing elephants to migrate. Elephants eat some 350 different kinds of plants, and wherever there is only lantana, they don't find anything else to eat, and they can't eat lantana. So then they are forced to migrate because of lantana invasions because they don't find food. So lantana is really terrible, very bad. We should discourage anybody planting lantana in their gardens also. So this is also exotic, I think. Fruit पण लागलाय त्याला. Deep root. Fencing also because it's very it's thorny and it grows into a thicket and it's really can't go. It's not invasive. No, it doesn't spread too much on its own, but planted as stabilizing contour bunds and also fencing. In Mexico, there are multiple species of agave. This is agave americana or something like that, which is planted here. Agave. Agave is the genus, or the English name is, or the anglicized name is agave. In Mexico, they call it agave because how Spanish pronounces. And there is a species of agave from which tequila is made. So the root of the agave, which goes underground, is thick and starchy. And so that root has a lot of starch. So tequila is made from that starchy root of the agave. Also, the leaves yield a very good tough fiber of the agave. So you can make ropes out of the leaf. आणि फुलं खूप सुंदर येतात. घायपात ही घायपात आहे. Very beautiful flowers. They're edible also. So there is a suddenly you will find there's a huge stalk that comes out like a bamboo from the center of the plant, and it goes up tall 10-12 feet, and suddenly at the top there are white flowers. निशिगंधासारखी फुलं येतात त्याला अशी वरती. It should flower I think monsoon only. Now only it starts flowering. And the buds are actually edible, or the flowers. त्याची भाजी करतात फुलांची घायपातीच्या. No, you should look at the procedure of how villagers cook it, so you'll know whether it is itchy or not, because there is always a procedure to remove that. So they'll either boil it and or they will put some yeah. So Ghaipat is the Marathi name, but it's not local. It's not native. Agave is a South American plant. नेटिव्ह नाही आहे घायपात. आपल्याकडे आहे, लावतात खूप, पण नेटिव्ह नाही आहे. आपण नाव दिलं त्याला. आस्क हिम. नलावडे सर विल टेल यू दॅट ही सीन मेनी animals. He's documented leopard cats, jungle cats, hyenas. Hyenas were seen as like 15, 20, 25 years ago you could see, but now the city has grown so much beyond the Tekadi also that that connections also lost, and now that earlier what was a small road is now that huge thing at Chandani Chowk na, that massive गुंता, मी त्याला गुंता म्हणतो, ते गुंता आहे तो एक तिथे रस्त्यांचा. सो नाव नथिंग कॅन क्रॉस रिअली. ॲब्सोल्युटली कॉरिडॉर गेलेले आहेत. सो लार्ज मॅमल्स कांट सस्टेन इफ देर इज नो सोर्स पॉप्युलेशन, सो इट गेट्स आयसोलेटेड. So they can't go back, or they can't migrate into the Tekadi. So no large mammals really. There are hares, black-naped hare किंवा ज्याला Indian hare म्हणतात. So you find that ससे आहेत. You want to remember plants, you make associations like that. Like she just said, the fruit looks like a football. That's a very good way to remember. So हे बारतोंडी आहे. सो त्याला असं मल्टिपल फेसेस टू द फ्रूट, बरीच तोंड असल्यासारखं म्हणून म्हणतात बारतोंडी. अँड यू सी द बार्क लुक्स लाईक अ क्रॉकोडाईल्स बॅक. त्याला असे ट्युबरकल्स आहेत, असे प्रोजेक्शन्स आहेत लाईक अ क्रॉकोडाईल्स स्किन. त्याला क्रॉकोडाईल बार्कच म्हणतात त्यामुळे. सो इट्स कॉल्ड क्रॉकोडाईल बार्क. बारतोंडी नेटिव्ह, लोकल, नॉट जस्ट नेटिव्ह बट लोकल टू these areas. So on the Deccan Plateau, in most dry deciduous forests, you will find Barthondi, very good native plant. आणि it gets white flowers which are fragrant. छान वास असतो बारतोंडीच्या फुलांना. पांढरी फुलं येतात, आपलं तगर किंवा असावं ना तसा कुडा वगैरे असतो ना, तशी फुलं येतात. So good native. It has very tough leaves. If you touch the leaf is a little tough. So it's थोडं जाड असतं, but underneath it's velvety. It has a लव असते त्याला खालच्या बाजूला ना. If you touch it, it has a nice layer. So it's called Morinda pubescens. Pubescent is a botanical term. Pubescent means hairy, which is yes, pubescent is hairy. Moringa म्हणजे शेवगा. जी आणि डी चा फरक आहे. मोरिंगा इज शेवगा, मोरिंगा ओलिफेरा. मोरिंडा, this is pubescens. It used to be called tomentosa also. Tomentos also means hairy, soft hairy. Tecoma. Tecoma आपल्याकडे there are a lot of ornamental tecomas. You know those. So this is also tecoma. Yellow bells म्हणतात त्याला. फुटाणी. सो टेकोमा इज अगेन अन ऑर्नामेंटल, ब्रॉट ॲज अन ऑर्नामेंटल, बट हे इन्व्हेसिव्ह होतं. आय हॅव सीन इट एस्केप. आणि अनफॉर्च्युनेटली ना दीज डेज इट्स व्हेरी पॉप्युलर फॉर प्लांटिंग ऑन मीडियन्स ऑन हायवेज. एक्सप्रेसवेला आहे लावलेलं, मोठ्या हायवेजला मध्ये डिव्हायडरला लावतात. COMA टेकोमा. गावरान भाजी इथे आत्ता तरी नाही आहे, कुठे दिसली तर दाखवतो. थोडी तुरट, गोड तुरट अशी असतात. पांढरफळी, फ्लुगिया. पांढरफळी, दिस इज अ नेटिव्ह श्रब. इट्स अ श्रब. इट्स अन अंडरग्रोथ ट्री, अंडरग्रोथ प्लांट. सो इट डझंट ग्रो इन टू अ ट्री, बिकम्स श्रबी. असं बुश होतं त्याचं, झुडूप होतं पांढरफळी. Medshingi, another native plant, grows across Maharashtra. You'll see it. Here you see it stunted and short, small. Again, if you go to Vidarbha, in many forests, you'll see big Medshingi trees. It gets these trumpet-like flowers. अशी ट्यूब लाईक फ्लावर्स असतात, पांढरी फ्रेग्रंट असतात, सुंदर असतात खूप. डॉलिकॅन्ड्रॉन, करेक्ट, येस, डॉलिकॅन्ड्रॉन फॅल्काटा. सकाळी सडा असतो खाली पडलेला बऱ्याच वेळा मेडशिंगीचा. सो ही मेडशिंगी. So right now I went to Tipeshwar. Medshingi was flowering in Tipeshwar. Medshingi, because its pods are like horns of a sheep. असे वळलेले पॉड्स असतात, असे मेंढीच्या शिंगांसारखे असतात, म्हणून मेडशिंगी. हां, मेढशिंगी. सो नेटिव्ह, गुड नेटिव्ह फॉर प्लांटेशन ऑल्सो, व्हेरी हार्डी ऑल्सो, सर्वाइव्स व्हेरी वेल इन हार्ड, हार्श, ड्राय क्लायमेट. नेटिव्ह लोकल टू these एरियाज हा पाचुंदा आहे. हां, पाचुंदा, कपॅरिस ग्रँडिस, ग्रँड केपर पण म्हणतात त्याला. हो, दोन्ही, हे पण आणि हे पण. इफ यू सी these leaves are also soft to the touch. They are hairy. लव आहे त्याला पण बारीक, and it's a very touchला, it's a very soft to the touch. So this is पाचुंदा. पाचुंदा, grand caper is the English name. Caparis grandis. ह्याला फळं लागतात, ग्रीन इनिशियली, अँड देन दे रायपन अँड बिकम रेड अँड ब्लॅक, आणि द फ्रुट्स आर एडिबल टू बर्ड्स. बर्ड्स ईट देम. काही फार खास लागत नाहीत, दे नॉट व्हेरी गुड टेस्टिंग फ्रूट. नेटिव्ह, येस येस, it is attracting birds. It's not edible for us, for humans. It's edible for birds, and when it flowers, you literally can hear the hum of bees around it. It attracts so many bees. From a distance you can see bees circling these trees. So they are short, small trees again. They don't grow very big. It takes them slow growing, takes them time to grow. But they become very beautiful if you allow them the space. इथे थोडंसं ते शेड मध्ये आहे, so it's a little unhappy. And they flower. The flowers are stunning. They're beautiful flowers. सुंदर पांढरी फुलं असतात, and they have these long anthers which sprout from that, and very very beautiful and attract so many pollinators, and they're fragrant. So from a distance, if it's a pachunda in full bloom, even from a little distance you can smell the fragrance on the air. So it's a very very pretty tree. आपल्याकडे आहेत टेकडीवरती पाचुंदा. I think one is because of the shade under the gliricidia. So these are the edible ones. आपल्याकडे घटबोर असतं आणि ती हां, घटबोर पण म्हणतात त्याला. एक तोरण असतं, ती वेगळी असतात. हे आपलं नेहमीचं बोर. आणि नेटिव्ह अगेन व्हेरी गुड, ड्राय लँडमध्ये येतात, इझिली येतात, हार्डी असतात, व्हेरी रेझिस्टंट टू ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ डिस्टर्बन्सेस. आणि जिथे खूप डिस्टर्बन्स आहे तिथे झुडूप होतं, छोटी छोटी दिसतात बोराची झाडं. जिथे चांगलं सॉईल आहे, पाणी आहे, डिस्टर्बन्स नाही आहे ना, तिथे सुंदर मोठं झाड होतं. सो व्हेरी गुड. बोराची झाडं छान बघायची असं मोठी वाढलेली, तर पाषाण लेकच्या बांधावर आहेत.
साइंटिफिक नेम क्या है?
झिझिफस मॉरिशियाना.
और कॉमन नेम बोर है.
बोर, बोर, बेर इज इन हिंदी नेम. बोरी बाभळी आपल्याकडे म्हणतात ना. सो टिपिकल ड्रायलँड प्लांट. सुबाबूळ. अनदर इन्व्हेजिव्ह, हे इथे मागे उगवलंय बघा. अनदर इन्व्हेजिव्ह, वर्स दॅन ग्लिरिसिडिया. This was brought in as a fodder plant. It's very good fodder, very nutritious fodder. So fodder, agroforestry, social forestry मध्ये लावायला खूप आणलेलं झाड आहे आपल्याकडे. ये
कितना ह्यूज.
हां, it's big. It's a big tree. Subabul becomes a big tree. South America.
अच्छा, ये भी
Yes, invasive and very badly invasive, very very highly invasive. Used as mulch, again green mulch, green fertilizer also. Fencing साठी पण वापरतात खूप ठिकाणी. आणि ॲग्रोफॉरेस्ट्रीमध्ये खूप प्रमाणात प्रमोट केलेलं प्लांट आहे आपल्याकडे. हां, एस्पेशली इन ॲग्रिकल्चर. अँड फॉडरसाठी तर खूप, बिकॉज इट्स व्हेरी गुड fodder. Again a nitrogen fixer, but very invasive. It gets these pods, thousands of pods every year, and each pod has 20-25 seeds, so millions of seeds. These pods. So literally one tree will spread thousands and thousands of seeds, and it has a very good germination rate. So it germinates very fast and grows very fast. So Subabul, the scientific name is Leucina leucocephala. झालं, ट्रॉपिकलच प्लांट आहे. कारण साऊथ अमेरिकेतनं आलेलं प्लांट आहे. इट्स अ ट्रॉपिकल प्लांट. इट कॅन सर्वाइव्ह इन द हीट. अँड ल्युसीना, LUCAENA, ल्युसीना, ल्युकोसेफाला. Leucocephala means white head because it gets these round white flowers like heads. गोल अशी चेंडू येतात त्याला पांढरे फुलांचे. सो सुबाबूळ व्हेरी व्हेरी इन्व्हेसिव्ह आणि इट गेट कार्पेट ऑफ सीडलिंग्स यू विल गेट. Very good way of recognizing subabul is these lenticels on the bark. You see these spots. All the bark is spotted. It has all these spots. So that's very typical of subabul. सुबाबूळ अशी ओळखता येते बघितली की त्याला असे स्पॉट्स असतात पूर्ण बार्कवरती. आपल्याकडे 2 स्पीशीज आहेत टाकळ्याच्या, एक नेटिव्ह एक एक्झॉटिक. टाकळ्याची भाजी करतात कोळ्या पानांची. हां अशी पण अशी हे होते ती चिकट होते. हां चिकट होते बट सम पीपल ॲड दाल इन टू इट सो देन इट बिकम्स नाईस. हा टाकळा. सीड्स ऑफ दिस आर युज्ड एज चिकरी. चिकरी इज what is blended into coffee. हां त्याला बॉडी यायला. सो चिकरी इज ब्लेंडेड इंटू कॉफी टू इन्स्टंट कॉफीमध्ये चिकरी घालतात किंवा फिल्टर कॉफीमध्ये. हां सो टाकळ्याच्या बियांचा तो सीड्स दे जस्ट ग्राइंड इट, मेक इट इंटू पावडर, बॉईल इट, स्ट्रेन इट अँड जस्ट ईट इट, ड्रिंक इट एज अ स्टिम्युलंट बिकॉज इट हॅज सम लेवल ऑफ कॅफिन अँड टॅनिन्स इन इट. So it's a legal chicory is a legal blending allowed into coffee. त्याच्या पर्सेंटेज असतं चिकरी. सो ही क्वारी आहे या एरियाची आणि व्हेरी फेवरेट स्पॉट ऑफ मेनी पीपल. पीपल लव टू कम हिअर. इट्स अ व्हेरी ब्युटिफुल स्पॉट इन द इव्हनिंग ऑल्सो. And now it's filled with water right now in the monsoons. So it's an old stone quarry, abandoned stone quarry. काढून झालेला आहे दगड. फणशी किंवा दांडूस असं नाव आहे. सुंदर अशी पांढरट जांभळट पांढरट फुलं येतात त्याला आणि व्हेरी अट्रॅक्ट लॉट ऑफ पॉलिनेटर्स अगेन. आपल्याकडे आहेत ही खूप लँडस्केप शहरात लावलेली पण आहेत काही ठिकाणी. लोकांच्या बागांच्यातनं आहेत, रस्त्यावर आहेत. डॅल्बर्जिया लॅन्सिओलॅरिया. these lichens. हाँ ये looks like they are lichens only. Yes, crustose lichens. They're very flat. Catechu. आता त्याचं जीनस बदललं आहे, सेनेगॅलिया कॅटेचू झाले. बट फॉर ऑल प्रॅक्टिकल पर्पजेस लेट्स रिमेंबर इट एज अकेशिया कॅटेचू. हां नाही चिंचे एवढं मोठं नाही होत. नाही खैर काही ठिकाणी वेन देयर इज अ गुड सॉइल लेअर वॉट एव्हर खैर कॅन ग्रो बिगर बट जनरली खैर खूप मोठं झाड नसतं. दिस इज अ साईज. हां अँड इट हॅज थॉर्न्स सी. आणि बाबूळ आणि खैर कसा वेगळा ओळखायचा तर खैराला छोटे काटे असतात बारके आणि असे वळलेले असतात. त्याला रिकर्व्ड थॉर्न्स म्हणतात. सो सी इफ यू सी हिअर देर आर पेअर ऑफ थॉर्न्स अँड दे व्हेरी स्मॉल अँड दे आर कर्व्ड लाईक दिस. बाबळीचे काटे बाबूळ हॅज लॉंग व्हाईट थॉर्न्स अँड स्ट्रेट. हां एकदम असे दाभण असते ना आपली सुई तसे काटे असतात. ह्याचे छोटे अँड रिकर्व्ड असतात कर्व. सो दिस इज द कथा ट्री. काथ जो आपण पानात काथ घालतात तो. सो दे एक्स्ट्रॅक्ट इट फ्रॉम सो दे रिमूव्ह द बार्क आणि त्या बार्कच्या खालचं जे लाकूड असतं द वूड अंडर द बार्क इज रेड इन कलर. सो दे रिमूव्ह दॅट, दे बॉईल इट and then they I think strain it and dry it off and then you get this like powder, red colored powder which is used in pan for the red color but it has medicinal properties as well. So kath ha औषधी पण असतो. Native katha is native across India also. Catechu also it is called acacia catechu. फुलभाज्यांसारखी फुलं असं असे it has these like long finger like inflorescence with these white flowers. फुलभाज्याच त्याला माझनसर फुलभाजीच म्हणतात. बबूल अकेशिया निलोटिका. दिस इज नेटिव्ह आवर बबूल ॲज वी कॉल इट. हा बाबूळ. ह्याला ह्याचे काटे बघितलेत का सरळ आहेत. हा आणि खाली द लीफलेट्स आर इव्हन स्मॉलर देन खैर. सो द लीव्स आर इव्हन स्मॉलर शॉर्टर ॲज कम्पेअर्ड टू द खैर लीफलेट्स अँड डार्कर इन कलर. द बार्क ऑल्सो इफ यू सी असं डीपली फरोड बार्क असतं त्याला असे. देर आर दीज डीप क्रॅक्स in the bark if you see and it's dark brown or black, almost black. In some places it's almost black. It's very dark black wood. आणि बाबूळ हा लिटरली बहु उपयोगी वृक्ष आहे. It's multiple uses. The leaves are good as fodder, medicinal. दातून ट्रॅडिशनली बाभळीचं वापरतात हां. इनफॅक्ट द बबूल टूथपेस्ट इज आफ्टर बबूल दिस बबूल. आय डोंट थिंक इट हॅज एनी बबूल इन इट बट शतावरी आहे हो. डिंक येतो बाभळीचा. सो द ॲक्च्युली बाबू इज प्राइज्ड फॉर इट्स गम. It's edible gum but also has many industrial other applications to that gum. So bubble gum is supposed to be very good quality, high quality gum in the bark. Yes, bark resin. So gum arabic म्हणतात त्याला. So this is the tree is also in English called gum arabic. So this is बाबूळ. खूप चांगलं नेटिव्ह झाड आहे आणि मोठं होतं. म्हणजे in some places where there is deep soil ह्यूज मोठी होतात बाबळीची झाडं. हां, खूप छान मोठी होतात बाबळीची झाडं. काटे आहेत त्याला खूप. सो दिस इज शतावरी. द मेडिसिनल पार्ट इज द रूट. शतावरी कल्प जो देतात ना तसं एडिबल. हां, हिवर बाभूळ खैर सेम जीनस. आता जीनस वेगळे झालेत ते जाऊ दे, आपण बॉटॅनीमध्ये नको जायला. पण अकेशिया, दिस इज अकेशिया लुकोफ्लोइया. लुकोफ्लोइया मीन्स लाईट कलर्ड वुड.
काय मराठी
हिवर फ्लोइया PHLOEA. खैर हिवर बाबूळ. आता ही तिकडे त्रिकुट इथे उभं आहे बघा. ही मागे बाबूळ आहे, हा खैर आहे आणि ही हिवर आहे. हां, these are 3 acacias which are common across India but across Maharashtra. महाराष्ट्रात तर खूप कॉमन आहेत. ड्रायलँड प्लांट्स आर व्हेरी गुड. they survive very well in dry areas, low rainfall. लॉंग लिव्हिंग प्लांट्स. सो दिस इज ही हिवरीला गोल फुलं येतात. सो द फ्लावर्स आर ऑल्सो डिफरंट. सो खैर विल गेट दीज लॉंग व्हाईट फ्लावर्स विच आर लॉंग. बाबूळ विल गेट राऊंड फ्लावर्स विच आर येल्लो इन कलर, ब्राईट येल्लो असतात. आणि हिवर विल गेट राऊंड फ्लावर्स अगेन लाईक बाबूळ बट लिटल लार्जर अँड व्हाईट. हां, चायनीज लँटर्न. हां, ती दुरंगी बाबूळ. ती कमी आहे तशी टेकडीवर आपल्याकडे. नाही, नेटिव्ह आहे. सो खैर हिवर बाबूळ 3 अकेशियाज आहेत. आणि हिवरीचं खोड बघा लाईट कलरचं असतं आणि त्याला हे असे ब्लॅक असे कधी कधी पॅचेस येतात असे. त्याच्या अशा वड्या अशा पडलेल्या असतात. त्याच्या इथे फ्लेकआउट होतं ते. हां, खैराचं खोड इज आता इथे थोडंसं लाईट आहे. खैर पण असा फरोड खोड असतं बाबळीसारखं पण इट्स नॉट ॲज डार्क. बाबळीचं एकदम डार्क काळं खोड आणि त्याला डीप चिरा असतात अशा बाबळीला. हां, आणि दिस ऑल्सो हॅज स्ट्रेट थॉर्न्स. हां, लाईक बाबूळ. हां, ह्याचे पण थॉर्न्स सरळ आहेत. नॉट खैराचे असे रिकर्व्ड थॉर्न्स असतात, बेंट. हां, खैराचा हिवरीचा पण डिंक येतो. हां, इट्स ॲज गुड ॲज खैराचा डिंक इज ॲज गुड ॲज बाबळीचा डिंक. हां, येस. सो हिअर यू कॅन सी द यंग लीव्स आर व्हेरी व्हाईट इन कलर. तुला असे पांढरे ठिपके दिसतात बोरा. सो बोराला नवीन पालवी आली की लगेच कळतं बिकॉज यू कॅन सी दोज व्हाईट यंग लीफ बड्स. प्लेसेस वेअर देयर इज लाईक रॉक, वेअर इज शॅलो सॉइल, रॉकी ठिकाणी. नाही, ये दिस इज सायनॉटिस. दिस इज ट्रायकोडेस्मा. ह्याला पाताळ डुंडी म्हणतात कारण ते सारखं पाताळात बघत असतं फुल खाली. तो डोकं खाली हे बघितलं ना, इट्स सो खाली मुंडी पाताळ डुंडी म्हणतात तसं. म्हणून त्याला म्हणतात पाताळ डुंडी. हां, सायनॉटिसला मराठी नाव बघायला पाहिजे. इंगळहळ्ळेकरांच्या पुस्तकात बघायला पाहिजे. ट्रायकोडेस्मा बिजा म्हातोब्याला आहे काही ठिकाणी खूप सुंदर आहे. इव्हन चारोळी बिब्बा वगैरे पण आहे म्हातोबाला. चारोळी आहे म्हातोबाला. सो इट वुड हॅव बीन अ डेसिड्युअस फॉरेस्ट लाईक दॅट, डिग्रेडेड ओव्हर द इयर्स. आता जे काय आहे ते आहे. पूर्ण प्रोटेक्शन दिलं तर इट विल इव्हेंच्युअली कम बॅक. जी ग्रासलँड झालेली आहे ती सुद्धा डिस्टर्बन्सनीच झालेली ग्रासलँड आणि मेंटेन बाय डिस्टर्बन्स. ग्रेझिंग एका लेवलचं ग्रेझिंग किंवा बर्निंगनी ती मेंटेन केलेली असतात ग्रासलँड.
दगडफूल म्हणतात आपल्याकडे. मसाल्याचं दगडफूल असतं, दॅट इज ऑल्सो लायकेन. हो, हे पॅच वाला.